All right, everybody. I just got to make sure that my microphone is correct. Yes, indeed it is. I'll see how many people pile aboard with the audio show this time. I know for those just joining at any time that you happen to be joining, I am not looking at chat because I can't look at chat because as far as I know, it's still going to freeze things up. Just one of those quirks of YouTube. I am going to set up some sort of call-in system. It doesn't matter what the system is. Obviously, I'm going to have to do that in the future because, thousands of people tend to watch these. They tend to be fairly popular. I want to branch out and do more of this stuff. The problem is setting up the actual technology. I know some people have said, oh, use like Discord, stuff like that. Yeah, but I want to be able to edit at least a little bit if I have to. There are already 2 people on here. Again, as before, I am not currently looking at chat. You can elucidate that fact to one another for anyone who asks after. I don't want to have to keep saying this. So it's time to talk about some politics, some current events, various thoughts that I happen to have. I've got to close out this text file because that's where the tags for this actual broadcast were. Time perhaps, I think, first to talk about North Korea a little bit because it's all anyone's really thinking about if they're keyed in to current events. Just so you know, I am not anticipating war with North Korea at this time in a general sense, as in, full-on strike or anything, but I am anticipating in the next few years we probably will see the United States and or China get involved in the region. Regime change maybe. Certainly attacks on their nuclear sites, which I fully support. I think that's one of the few things we can use our military muscle for that makes sense. That being said, of course, we still have to wait and see. Every year or so, we get a happening from North Korea where they make some veiled threat about nuking somebody. We're going to invade South Korea. We're going to nuke Japan. We're going to nuke California. We're going to invade China. And it's like, it's totally way, way out there. People take it way too seriously. It's not actually going to happen. They don't have the ability to project their force beyond North Korea itself. People need to stop worrying about it so much. That being said, all of like the shortwave threads on North Korea on 4chan or wherever, extremely, extremely fun. It's really fun. You get together with some other people. You're tuning into like the UVB system from Russia or North Korea's own shortwave radio broadcast or something. It's really relaxing, actually, in a weird way. You sit there in a combat helmet eating an MRE and do that. It's actually great, great fun. Should probably do that for the next MRE video. Maybe when I do the Russian MRE, I'll tune into UVB 76. I'll just have that broadcasting in the background. It'll be great fun. But I wanted to talk about some other stuff today. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was actually if dudes had periods. I know this may sound a little bit strange, but can you imagine? Let's say that dudes, instead of having testicles, they had ovaries of a sort. Like they still had the Y chromosome, but they had like something that had to emit blood on a monthly basis. Just so you women out there know, it would be hilarious because you'd have people, dudes, writing their names in blood like on the side of alleyways. They'd be like deliberately pissing on the floor, like pissing out their blood on the floor in bathroom stalls and stuff. It's like I think one of the reason people I've spoken to who are like janitors or whatever, they say, yeah, dude bathrooms are like, they're messy, but they're nothing compared to female bathrooms. Female bathrooms are like 10 times worse. Just there's like grunge everywhere, there's blood and there's piss and like people smear their poo everywhere. And there's like used maxi pads and stuff hanging off the walls. It's like, it's not exactly the unicorns and rainbows stuff that you would generally expect. So I think like dudes are actually at a disadvantage when it comes to making a mess. It's not that they don't want to. It's not that they don't want to grunge things up a little bit, but they don't actually bleed from, they don't have a uterus. They don't have a period. So I think it'd be really funny if they did, because you'd like see blood names in the snow. Like dudes would be writing their names, they'd be pissing it out. And they'd probably store the blood too. It's like these menstrual cups that women have now. They're not making full use of them. You should hook that up to a squirt bottle and squirt it onto the snow and like put your name there. But dudes, they would do that way more. Like they wouldn't actually hold back in doing so because they wouldn't care if somebody thought they were grungy for it. because dudes, they don't care. It would be considered fun. Dudes would sit there standing next to each other with their pants down, like in the snow. I'd be like, oh, I can piss more blood than you, bro. And they would actually have like a pissing blood contest or something like that. It's just a random thought that I had. I thought it was funny to bring up. In a moment here, just so you know, I'm not looking at chat right now. We're going to go over some sporadic fucked up Facebook posts from like Salon being liberal, the usual fare. I got my water here, so I'm all good to go. I'm going to try to keep this broadcast a little bit shorter than usual. Not because I'm not in the mood to make an audio broadcast, but just because until I actually get things set up to take call-ins or comments of some sort in a way other than chat, because chat moves too quickly, it freezes up, it gets screwed up. That's the one thing YouTube hasn't done right with its actual live feeds, as opposed to some other sites. Until I set something up for that, whatever the hell it happens to be, I'm going to have to keep this a little bit more simplistic. I do anticipate in the near future being able to do that, because I anticipate in the near future I'm going to have a literal studio to actually do my work in. Not like professional. Like I don't need all the, I don't want it to be like, oh, multi-million-dollar studio, that sort of bullshit. I don't want to go total professional. But I do want an area that's a little more comfortable, where I have everything that I need. It's all set up and ready to go whenever I need it. Maybe a computer that's even newer than this one. This computer is really good, but it can't quite keep up with that many people in chat at the same time. I'm thinking something like Alienware, some custom build or something like that. But I'm going to go on Facebook, and as always, it's time to look at whack-ass posts. Let's see. What have we got here? Oh, Geraldo is doing his own live stream at the moment. He's got 29 people watching him. Oh, no, now he's got 34. That means he's a little bit behind me, Geraldo. Maybe it's because you opened Al Capone's vault there and found a beer bottle or something like that. Ron Paul. Oh, this is a good thing to cover. My thoughts on what Ron Paul is saying regarding Trump. I think Ron Paul is a man who sticks to his guns. I may not agree with him on everything, same as, my ethos on Trump. That being said, he does understand what he's talking about. He simply has maybe a more stubborn worldview than his son does. That doesn't mean he's not a good man. He opposes war. I find myself on board basically with his foreign policy beliefs. I think we need to leave well enough alone, generally speaking, unless it's a war of liberation or something like that. The idea of attacking Syria is pointless, even if you're just making a diplomatic point in order to get your way in other theaters. Why can't we just do that anyway? What the hell is China going to do about the... Let's say we bomb North Korea's atomic test site. Let's say we say, okay, enough of this nonsense. We're just going to bomb this reactor over here. We're going to bomb this area here where they're, testing things. We're going to hit a couple of their long-range like missile platforms or something. Who the hell is going to do anything about it? We can drag China into trade to get that accomplished without going after Syria. It was pointless. It didn't really have any real net benefit. The only real benefit, this is the weird part, people actually supported the idea of Trump attacking this site in Syria. His approval went up like almost 5 points after he did that. I think that's actually a sad reflection of how the average American operates myself. Let's see. Trump hints, he may still boot FBI director. Trump still expressed confidence in Comey, who said in an interview has been very, very good to Hillary. Well, yeah, no shit. Although I will say this with Comey, don't be too hard on the dude, because Obama came down on him real easy. Let's see. Trump does complete reversal on NATO. I said it was obsolete. It's no longer obsolete. Well, yeah, that's true. But then again, he's just playing up to his core fans here. He never said it was obsolete in the first place. He said it needed to be overhauled. Other countries needed to pay more, and it needed to be re-geared because the state of the world isn't the same as it was in the fucking 60s and 70s. What the hell's wrong with that? Everyone pretended that he wanted to abolish NATO at the time. It was totally wrong then. It's totally wrong now. It's never what he suggested. I don't understand the witch hunt after everything that Trump says. I mean, I know the globalists don't like him because he believes in some degree of national sovereignty or something like that. It's just, it's incredible the lengths to which they'll go to try to stop him. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you hear this? I'm sure most of you have by now. This is like the ultimate meme of the day. Trump and the chocolate cake. Apparently, he said something to the effect of that he would bomb he would bomb Syria while eating the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake. And he said this to the Prime Minister of China, or President, or whatever the hell title he has, when he was meeting with Jinping. He said he's going to bomb Syria and he's going to be eating chocolate cake at the time. Oh, man. I can't think of anything funnier than that. I can just see Trump sitting there. He's got this big-ass slice of chocolate. It's like half of the fucking cake. And he's gorging on it. He's literally stuffing his face. He's got like his well-done steak off to one side. He's got the McDonald's burger on the other. He's got this big-ass piece of chocolate cake. And he's just staring down the leader of China at the time. And he's shoveling it in like he's 10 years old. And meanwhile, there are bombs dropping on Syria. I can just see that happening. It's hilarious to think of. Like, it's not great to think of in a diplomatic sense. But, I mean, the pure humor of it. Oh, man, it would be great. And that's coming from Salon. And actually, they're saying that means he's unhinged. I disagree. I don't think that makes him unhinged. I think that makes him a chaos candidate of sorts. Yeah, and then we've got the usual Russian shit. I'm no longer even going to talk about that. I'm going to say something about Russia here. I'm no friend of Russia. I don't support Russian foreign policy. It clashes with ours. It clashes with libertarianism, too, like Russia's an authoritarian regime. But why the hell would I want to keep talking about that one friggin' issue over and over and over? Everyone else wants to. Business Insider, Salon, Being Liberal, CNN, MSNBC. It's all, I mean, they're basically turning into the anti-Russia conglomerate of the corporate media. To the point of, I mean, did Putin kick them out as far as their investment goes and they're still sore in the ass from that or something like that? I don't know. Yeah. North Carolina bill banning same-sex marriage again won't be heard, House Speaker says. Well, no shit, it's already federally legal. Kind of a non-issue. This is another thing that I predicted. Gay marriage falling by the wayside as a political wedge issue, and it has. You got North Carolina, not exactly the most blue state in the country. Long penchant of being, you know, very conservative. Now more of a swing state, but still leans towards conservatism, at least in the neocon sense. They don't even fucking care. It's like that bill they had in Mississippi years ago that got defeated. I think it was like 70-30 or something against it. And that's in the deep, deep scrotum of the South. Like Alabama and Mississippi, if you can join them, they look like two elongated testicles in the scrotum attached to Florida's cock or something like that. And even they don't want to go after like abortion and gay marriage and all this stuff. They consider them dead issues. It makes sense that they are. You don't have to agree with gay marriage being legal. You don't have to agree with abortion being legal, but they're fucking dead issues. You're not going to win on that platform. You'd have to have a total Christian moralist party, or you'd have to have like an Islam party. You know, you could make a case for that. Oh, yeah, we want to ban gay marriage. It's because we believe in Sharia law or something like that. See how far you get in a place like the Deep South. You may find you make more inroads down there than in like, deep blue Yankee land or something like that. Let's see. We're going to go through some more Facebook crap here from the left-wing sites. For those of you just joining, of course, I'm not looking at chat at the moment because I really can't. Here's one from Business Insider. I was very impressed with President Xi. I think he means well and wants to help. We'll see if he does. Trump says he put economic pressure on China's president to help with North Korea. Yeah, I think it was coal-related. If you look at what's happening right now with U.S. coal getting shipped to China, U.S., Australian, and Russian coal specifically, instead of North Korean coal. North Korea is getting totally elbowed to the side, and that's going to start hurting their regime a lot more than bombs will. We'll see if that turns into anything greater. It could. It could be a couple days from now we see war ignited there. It's possible. But North Korea wouldn't be able to fall back on any allies. It's like somebody pointed out earlier on one of my videos. They're like, oh, you don't know anything, Styx. The Chinese have an alliance with North Korea. They'll defend them. Bullshit. The Chinese aren't going to bother defending North Korea. That time has passed. They're not going to risk war with the United States or even with like Japan or South Korea over some insignificant hermit kingdom like that. The only thing they would do is charge into North Korea, secure the minerals for themselves, and leave well enough alone, let the rest of the Korean peninsula unify. So you'd still have two Koreas, but there wouldn't be a North Korea. There'd be like a little tiny Chinese vassal with a bunch of minerals and coal. that they happen to want, and the rest of Korea would be reunified. Yeah, you could do worse than that. That's just fine. You'd still have the ROK pushing for reunifying with the rest of Korea that was taken and turned into a total vassal by the Chinese, like a literal puppet, as opposed to Kim Jong-un, who's kind of sort of sentient in some ways. Yeah, they'd still angle for that, but I mean, they wouldn't have to worry about war. China's a sane actor. They may be authoritarian. There are a lot of human rights abuses there. They're no friend to liberty in the world, but they're not insane. Yeah, the Chinese people are not nuts like Kim Jong-un is. Kim Jong-un slaughters his own people probably just to be able to eat their roasted flesh. That's not exactly the same thing that you have in China. Let's see. Let's look through here and find some more insanity that we can find. Oh, yeah, the nude photos from the Marines being sold on the dark web. Not a huge surprise for that. Let's see. Oh. How liberals avoid their problem starter pack. Apple cider vinegar, ginger root, looks like some fish oil pills, pot pipe. Yeah, that's certainly true. Activated charcoal and tea tree oil. Holy basil. Yeah, that's not liberals so much as far leftists or something like that, like the Bernie Bros crowd. I think the Clintonians, they love government health care. They don't care if it's substandard and really, really costly. They'll still go to the hospital as long as someone else is fucking paying for it. Yeah. Let's see. Guy goes on vacation with Reese Witherspoon and can't stop trolling her. Who fucking cares? Who is Reese Witherspoon? I can't name a single film she's been in. Probably should be able to, but, whatever. We visited Taco Bell's headquarters where employees get to try new menu items before anyone else does. There are a lot of people jealous of that. Yeah. Trump backtracking his support of Steve Bannon. The president says, I like Steve, but, as rumors fly about his future in the White House. Now, Trump already clarified this. He already came out a couple days ago. He's like, yeah, well, Bannon and Kushner are going to have to fucking work this shit out. Well, no shit, he doesn't want people openly fighting in an executive capacity who are in close proximity to him. Who would? It wouldn't matter if you could be totally far left or you could be a literal Nazi. You still wouldn't want people doing that around you. What the hell does that have to do with Trump's foreign policy or anything like that? Like it's going to affect his tax plan to have Bannon and Kushner not exactly liking each other. That's fucking crazy talk. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, here, Being Liberal weighs in once again. This is in, you got to frame this as far as Sean Spicer and his comments on Syrian chemical weapons and the Holocaust and so forth. From John Lovett, that's who they're retweeting here. Let's bring this full circle. Many Jewish refugees were murdered with chemical weapons by Hitler because we turned them away. Technically, yeah, I suppose, although they weren't all Jewish. Some of those people were like atheists or they were crippled or really, really old and couldn't work or something like that. I'm not sure you understand your history, though. You appear to be conflating chemical shells like World War I trench gas style with gas chambers or something like that. See, I don't get into that stuff too much because it's become such a farce. Anytime someone uses Hitler in any context, they're either totally wrong and therefore they're like an anti-Semite and they love Hitler, or they're like a glowing messiah and you can't question what they're saying because, you know, what they're saying is like far left or something like that. It's fucking retarded. Rebels in Syria behead boy in mistake. Well, it's not a mistake. The rebels in Syria do that all the time. They love Sharia law. They just don't want a caliphate. So for those just joining, let's see. Oh yeah, now there's almost 1,200 people on here. I'm just going through some Facebook madness. You can chat in chat all you want. I'm not going to be able to join you though because it'll freeze up. When you get this many people in a chat room on YouTube, which is basically what it is while you're streaming, it doesn't bode well for your ability to process if you're also doing a live feed. Like I'd need 2 computers, honestly. I'd need like a second account or something like that to actually join in. Or I'd have to really slow things down. Let's see. Libertarian Party shared Bring Me's video. In 2012, California relaxed their cottage food laws and thousands of home chefs like those with Trap Kitchen LA were able to start businesses in their home kitchens. Let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty tasty to me. anything like that. Yeah, food should be exempt from that sort of shit as long as it's safe to eat. Because food is tasty. What can I say? Let's see. Analysts are now contemplating the previously unimaginable prospect of a runoff between Mélenchon and Le Pen, a clash between far left and far right that would represent a seismic upheaval in French and European politics. Yeah, apparently the real far leftist is actually on the rise there in France, sort of almost edging Macron now. Macron, of course, is like Hollande-style centrist socialism, which is to say he wants to steal people's money, but he's not like so totally out there that he's like a commie. But this Mélenchon dude, he is like a fucking communist. So now it's exactly looking like Weimar Germany. He couldn't get a closer approximation, really, as far as things go, than like mid-1930s Germany. You've got the real far left, somebody who's supposedly far right, although in this case, though, the one difference is Front National is really more populism and just light nationalism, as opposed to, oh yeah, we're gonna like steamroll the Jews or something like that. Like Le Pen's not a Nazi. Her comments were taken totally out of context on the occupation government of France and stuff. So we got to put that aside. But as far as perception goes in France, it's basically, you know, communists versus literal Nazis. And that's the state of their politics right now. And there are still people who think that this is normal, that it's normal for the establishment parties or figures to utterly fucking collapse and for an election to boil down between literal communism and something that, in their minds at least, closely approximates fascism. It's totally normal. Yeah, it's never happened before, but it's also totally normal. Don't look at 1930s European history or maybe like the 1920s with the early eugenics era. You shouldn't know anything about that. See, that's the other problem. They've banned talk about that period of time to such a degree. People don't even know anything about like the rise of Nazi Germany or any of these other things. They're totally fucking ignorant of it because all they've ever learned about it is, oh yeah, Hitler's evil. He's responsible for all of our problems. Yeah, all the leftist parties, they never did anything wrong. If there's an economic problem in our country, it's the result of something Hitler did back in the 30s or 40s. That's as far as it goes. If you question this, you are a Nazi. We'll probably drag you off to a gulag or something, you know, Heil Stalin. That's what it boils down to in Europe and some of these places today. So people are ignorant of what actually happened during that period of time. And because they're ignorant, they don't even realize the friggin' fact that things are almost identical to how they were in the 1930s in Europe. You've even got the same foreign occupying force on European soil in some cases. The EU, when people talk about, here was the funny part, when Le Pen was talking about the occupation government of France, nobody, Le Pen herself never even drew the contrast here between that occupation government and the EU. And she should have, because it's the same thing. The EU authority over parts of Western Europe represents an occupying hostile force that doesn't believe in sovereignty, that wants to make its own rules and force them off on different groups of people within Europe. It's the same friggin' crap that they already went through in the 1940s. It's the same crap that the Eastern Europeans went through behind the Iron Curtain. It's the same fucking shit that they already went through. There's a reason why people who are intelligent within Europe don't really like the EU. They can cast it off as a bunch of working class stiff rubes in small town England or whatever they want to do. They're just going to piss people off even more. And good riddance when the EU dies off, because it will. That's my prediction. Within another decade, there won't be a European Union, anything close to its current form at the very least. Good riddance. It's bad for Europe. It's bad for everybody else in the world. Oh, Donald Trump made a post. Billions and billions of dollars are being wasted on activities that are not delivering results for hardworking American taxpayers. No shit, that includes some of our military adventures that you want to fund more. Yeah, I'm a little cut up about that. We must do a lot more with less. Well, I hope that comes true. Yeah, reform the tax code. Get rid of the self-employment tax, at least for people who... Here's a funny thing I learned when I was filing my taxes, because, you know, making book sales and stuff. Apparently, you pay an extra, a self-employed tax, until you hit a certain threshold of income. If you're making 6 figures, you don't have to pay that tax anymore. Now, isn't that fucking nuts? If you're like writing and editing books, like taking crowdfunding, whatever, if you're making 5 figures, you pay an extra, I think it's 12.5%. You know, you get write-offs, you know, business deductions, because, you know, you buy a computer. If you're editing stuff on a computer, well, you know, it's kind of self-explanatory. But here's the thing. You pay that extra 12.5% until you reach that higher bracket threshold, at which point they get rid of it. You don't owe that tax anymore. Isn't this the exact opposite of what should be happening? I think you'd want to apply that extra tax to people who make more, to let them rise up to that level, like compete amongst themselves. There'd be more people working on the side a little bit. Maybe they become fully self-employed, whatever it happens to be. Specifically for like entrepreneurs who go all in, or somebody who's self-employed and they're just self-employed. They don't have like, you know, the quote unquote average 9-to-5 job or something. They're having to pay that extra tax. It's like the backbone of all of your innovation within the economy outside of multinationals that are going to make money in other countries too. They're not going to patent it here. You know, they might take advantage of US copyright law from time to time. Ultimately, they're doing a lot of business overseas, and then they re-import shit into the United States. They have no loyalty to the US. It's the exact opposite of what we should be doing with our tax code. It's totally ridiculous. Let's go through here. See some other shit. Oh yeah, I fucking love science. Yeah, the page that doesn't even talk about science half the time anymore. It's all political crap. Let's see. We're gonna go through this and find some other good shit to see. Being a libertarian is like being the only sober person in the car and no one will let you drive. Kind of. But the Libertarian Party is not that sober person at this point. Just look at Gary Johnson. Did he look sober? I don't think so. What's this? War is peace. Trump is following closely in Obama's footsteps. Is the Nobel Peace Prize next? Well, he's got to kill a few tens of thousands more people before the Nobel Commission will offer him a peace prize. We saw this with Obama. He had to kill a lot of little kids in order to get the Nobel Peace Prize. By the way, Alfred Nobel, if he existed today, he'd totally ream these people. He'd say they shouldn't even have a Nobel Prize Commission. It's retarded. The Nobel Peace Prize goes to the greatest warmonger. The prize in like mathematics goes to someone who's just spouting off a bunch of bull crap that's already been summarized by other people 100 years ago. Oh, Nobel Prize in chemistry goes to this person who invented a new way to grow a fucking carrot or something like that. It's pointless. Why do we even give these prizes out anymore? What is it too? You get, well, isn't it like $100,000 or $500,000 or something for a Nobel Peace Prize? And then Obama, he's getting a Nobel Peace Prize for warmongering. Yeah, so I guess Trump will have to kill a lot more people before he becomes eligible for a peace prize, I guess. All right, let's go through this. Many, many other things to read up on. Here, well, actually, I'm going to refresh homepage here. We'll see what's up. See if there's any other good stuff. This is about the time of day, you know, after 5 o'clock. People start posting more stuff anyway. Oh, these 3D printed shoes. That's big in the news right now from Adidas and some of these companies. That's a good idea. Anything that can be 3D printed probably should, just because it's so much more efficient. They should release the blueprints, though, to do it to everyone so they can print their own shoes. All these retarded companies will go out of business. Why can't Donald Trump just take out Assad? Talking tough may work for the president, but his actions will have consequences. Well, you shouldn't take out Assad. He's probably didn't even deploy chemical weapons. I still believe that. I still don't believe that he did. I think it was the rebels that did, or maybe the CIA or the Russians or something, false flagging Assad. Anything's possible. And then everyone keeps talking about United Air. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Sean Spicer apologizes for letting the president down. There's no comparing atrocities. Sean Spicer has been trying to talk about Trump's successful first 100 days, but had to answer something else first. He didn't do anything wrong. He made a point of historical comparison, and he was right. Oh, kind of right. I mean, he was wrong in the sense that Assad never gassed his own people. Last time they claimed that in 2013, it turned out it was the FSA that did so. Obama warmongered then. Trump talks about it now. At the very least, though, he comes out and says we're not going into Syria. Obama wanted to. Obama wanted to march in, bomb everything, and kill little kids with napalm. He thought it was a great time, and Hillary Clinton was right on board with that. That's one reason to vote against her. I'm glad that whore lost. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton. Let's just put it that way. It was a good day for the world when she lost the Rust Belt. Oh, it was a great day for the world. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Even a lot of these people were corporatists. On the surface, they're like, oh, yeah, Clinton, you know, sanity, glass ceiling, all that crap. And in private, they probably went home. They're like, oh, thank goodness this is over. And thank goodness this old woman is never going to be in a political position again. Because they're tired of dealing with that crap. Even they get tired of the corruption, I think, after a while. But yeah, let's see. Did I have any other notes to talk about? I talked about the GOP House seat in Kansas. It was closer than it would otherwise have been. But all things considered, I mean, they held the seat, so who cares? I was going to make a video about ADHD and how it doesn't exist, but I don't know if I will. It's a good topic, but it doesn't really have anything to do about analysis or anything like that. I also need to talk about Kushner and Bannon at some point. I have my own feelings on this. I think Kushner is a good scapegoat for people who are trying to blame globalism for the fact that Trump didn't immediately go full populist and nationalist. You got to realize some of that is his strategy, and he doesn't really have a choice. And also, he tries to keep his cards close to his chest. That being said, I think when Eric Trump comes out, says, oh, yeah, Ivanka was crying. She was all pissed off about the dead Syrian kids and convinced Trump to strike this airfield. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that, Eric. I'm not sure that that's true. Yeah, because, I mean, she's obviously sane. She's good at marketing, too. Why would she get so cut up about this and immediately blame Assad when she's fully aware of the fact that Obama was probably openly lying and doing so willfully when he claimed that Assad was gassing people in the first place years ago? Why would she do that? She's obviously privy to some intelligence. She's obviously privy to some at least lower-level confidential information. She's Trump's daughter. She's obviously on very close terms with him, probably closer than any other member of the family, even including her own mother, including Melania. It's unimaginable in my mind that she would actually believe the propaganda being spewed out by the corporate media. It was clearly propaganda. I'm not sure that I believe that. I think that this is just part of some larger strategy. Probably Eric Trump coming out, defend old Donald Trump, say, oh, well, it was Ivanka's idea. So then they sound sexist if they oppose it, because then it's sort of like, oh, yeah, you know, motherly instinct. She saw the dead kids. She saw the suffering kids. She said, oh, we've got to do something. And so she prevailed upon her father, who didn't really want to do it at first. And she's very sweet and happy, loves kids and stuff. And Trump was like, oh, yes, my daughter, you're right. I think that's the plan here. I think that's strategic. I don't think that that's necessarily actually true. And then at some point, I need to do a video about quantum immortality. I know it's a little bit out there, but just something I was pondering, and I was like, oh, shit. If this is true, you actually become like a zombie or a lich at some point in your existence. No, seriously, that's the conclusion I came to. If like the quantum suicide thing is true and you can't actually die, oh man, it's either you're really, really screwed or you're really, really fortunate, and there's really no in between. I almost hope it's not. Like, that solves the issue of what happens when you die, but I'm not sure that it solves it in the happiest of ways. So maybe it's better that just straight up like Hindu style reincarnation be real. I'd rather reincarnate as a fucking slug than that be true under certain circumstances. So I'll talk about that at some point. Oh, I'm so caffeinated. No, seriously, I had like 4 cups of coffee today. 4 cups of coffee and a Monster, one of those no sugar ones. And I don't drink that because I'm like calorie conscious or any of that crap. I drink those ones because they're honestly more refreshing. It's like NOS. I'm getting off on a tangent here, but I got to say this. People have to know. NOS, you know, NOS, energy drink, is crap. It's so over-sugared. It's like high C that someone took a cup of sugar and they dumped it in the can, shook it up and added more sugar, shook it up again, added like honey and maple syrup and every other sugary thing until it's just a literal crystalline abomination. But Nah sugar-free was really, really good. I used to drink it preferentially until I realized, there's no store around here that sells it. You could only get it on like the UVM campus up in Burlington. They don't sell it here, so I can't drink it. But then I tried the Monster, the no calorie, like the no sugar ones. And yeah, they're pretty good. It's pretty close. I know that it probably causes cancer, but you know, there might be a nuclear war and I get cancer anyway. I don't care. I'm not going to try to fool anyone by pretending I'm health conscious in that sense. Like, I obviously don't have to watch my calories. I ate a shit ton of manicotti earlier. I had like a Choco Taco, all the wine and coffee and everything else that I happen to want. I eat what I want when I want. I drink what I want when I want. I don't have to watch the calories or fat intake or anything like that. And I'm aware of that fact, but it just tastes better. Honestly, the sugar-free energy drinks, other than Red Bull, all of them taste better than the sugared ones. Red Bull's the one exception. The sugar-free Red Bull tastes like absolute swill. And regular Red Bull is like nectar of the gods mode. Yeah, I know I got off on a tangent there, but just an entertaining aside. I think I'm going to end the live feed now. But like I said, before anyone signs out here, I am going to set up a call-in system. It's just a matter of what kind of system I set up and when I get it going. I will do more live feeds as well. Also, another thing, I can sit here more comfortably now because it's warm. I look out the window, there's green grass, there's sunlight. It's getting towards, mid-spring. That's great. So I feel more energetic. It's like even the writing has taken off. I've got those 2 herbals done. I haven't even bothered to do the illustrations, did the Roman index and so forth. As the year marches on, as things get warmer, I can have, a window open or at least cracked, have the fan on behind me. It just feels good. It's pleasant. It makes me more energetic. Another thing is you've got to realize I'm still withdrawing from nicotine at the moment because I'm smoking ultralight cigarettes. It's going to take me a few days before I feel kind of normal again. And when I quit, it's be a few weeks. I'm going to feel like shit. I'm not going to feel like doing any live feeds or anything like that. But I got to get off that. It is necessary. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I'm not going to sit there and, end up dying when I'm 45 of massive lung tumors or something like that. It's just not worth it. I got too much work to do. I've got too much work to do to die at this point in my life. So I'm going to take it easy. I'd rather drink like alcohol, which takes the edge off of nicotine withdrawal anyway, like, guzzle a couple glasses of wine. Now, seriously, it does. Like some people, they say, oh, you shouldn't drink if you're trying to quit. I find the exact opposite to be true myself. But yeah, there you go. A little bit of sarcasm and satire here. I know it's kind of an unhinged episode of this. I thought it was fun, though. Yeah, I just wanted to sit here and do a live feed. I know some people were asking me for one. I figured I might as well accede to their wishes at the moment. So yeah, time to stop the broadcast, sadly. I hope you had fun in chat, even though I couldn't join you. I'll figure that out in the future to get a second computer, fucking tablet or something. That's about all. Peace out.